Datuk Nazri from AMH. The moderator today will be Reshma, and I would like to pass the mic to her for all of us to start off the discussion, hearing from the industry, the specialists from the industry. Thank you, Reshma.
Thank you very much, sir. Assalamu alaikum to everybody and a good day to everyone. Here we are again. Thank you very much, Faiz. You did an excellent introduction as well for us. This series today is not going to be something that you are normally used to in a webinar, in a sense that this webinar platform is going to be more like a discussion, an interview discussion with our stakeholders in the maritime logistics sector. Now, there has been a lot of old issues that have not been resolved. These issues continue to pop out, and these issues have been addressed by the various industry bodies, such as the Federation of Malaysian Freight Forwarders, as well as MNSE, the Malaysian National Shippers Council, as well as the Association of Malaysian Hauliers. Now, these issues have escalated in a sense that it has gone to a point of out of control, and without much ado, I'm just showing you a couple of slides on certain press statements that were out pertaining to the rising cost in the maritime logistics sector, from container deposits to depot gate charges. So let me not take any more of your time, and let me now pass the mic to the president of the Federation of Malaysian Freight Forwarders, our superstar, that's what I call him, Elvin Chua. Mr. Elvin, can you please take the mic from me?
Thank you, Reshma, and good morning to all participants and also all the panelists. It's actually a very exciting time now for Malaysia, right, after the MCO. And as you can see, the volume of trade have came down more than 25%. And also the issues that we are facing at the moment, right? It's a good thing that the minister have come to Poklang himself to look at the situation in Poklang and also giving some goodies to Poklang, right? But you know, the issue that we are facing, not just by our by the logistics industry, but actually by all our important exporter, our trading partners, you know, it's going from good from bad to worse now. Actually, I feel that the Ministry of Transport should regulate unfair practices and landside charges by shipping lines. Many shipping lines have implemented unfair practices and unjustified charges against importer and exporter. Right, these are the slides that we have now. If you look at some of the shipping line here, yeah, these additional practices and charges were over and above those have been imposed earlier. Some of these unfair practices are charges, charging US $50 for late collections of the reorder every 7-day period. You know, bounce checks were punished with a penalty sum, while wrong payment made was also penalized. A shipping line also superseded Bank Negara check validity period, reducing the 6 months to 4 months. Shipping line have to maintain their ship to be seaworthy and maintain container to be cargo worthiness. In Malaysia, this foreign-owned shipping line charge the importer and exporter a container maintenance fees ranging from 25 to 50 ringgit, and for special equipment, you know, they will charge 100 ringgit. Also, special container of scrap metal, no refund is made even if there's no damage to this container. Why are we doing all this for the shipping line? Why are we maintaining their containers, right?
So it's like a free for all, Mr. Elvin, is what you're saying right now.
They have
so they're going
come out with they have come out with laundry of charges, you know, as they like without justification, right?
And what is the reason for this? I mean, I understand that you have been engaging with the Shipping Agent Association as well for a long time, for at least as long as I remember. What is the issue here?
Because, you know, the the government, the government are saying there's no jurisdiction of shipping line charges. You see, I think so. This is very unfair statement, and then this will cost us. You see, our importer will pay all these charges, but in the end, who will pay for it? It's the rakyat. It's the people. Our cost of living go up because of all this.
Everything,
right?
inflation has already kicked in pretty hard.
If you look at the terminal handling charges, shipping line charge importer and exporter about 470 ringgit per 20 footer and 715 per 40 footer. But you see, the terminal charges charged by the port to them is only 300 and 450. So they profit 170 ringgit to 200 ringgit per container. You just imagine we have 10 million TEUs, engineers, local cargo in Malaysia, import and export. This come out to about 2 billion ringgit, they just profit from nothing.
Are we afraid that these people, are we afraid we're going to be losing these shipping lines? I mean, I've been hearing this as one of the reasons, that the reason why maybe the government is a bit not very keen to regulate this bunch of service providers, our carrier shipping lines, is probably because from what we understand is they're worried that these shipping lines won't come to our ports. But aren't we ranked somewhere on the top 10 or at least the top 15?
Malaysia are ranked 12 in the world, and then we have, as I said just now, we have 10 million TEUs of engineers cargo, our import and export. Every shipping line would love to come here, but look what happened when the airlines start to merge. Example, the Maersk line, they took over CMA CGM, took over this. They still live. You see, when they become a big consortium, they leave and they went to Singapore, right? So, but in the end, they still come back, right?
So generally, so that is not. So in other words, that cannot be the case. It cannot be because the shipping lines will leave us, because they cannot leave us. We have our own domestic cargo.
Yes.
We are ranked number 12 in the world. So what do you recommend, Mr. Elvin? What is the recommendations that your community of freight forwarders are looking at?
Actually, the government should really now seriously look into implementing or setting up a national authority, giving them power to allow them also to regulate the charges, not the shipping lines. Okay, regulate the charges, and any charges they want to increase, they should justify. Why they increase. I just give an example. There should be only 3 charges coming out from the shipping line. The first one is for import, the terminal handling charges, the DO fees, and the SNK charges or the EDI charges. These are the 3, but the rest is all manufactured. There's no justification for them to have all these charges. All right.
Do we have the list of charges in your slides, Mr. Elvin? The
No,
additional,
okay. There's not, actually it's there, there's a lot of other things there. The page with the yellow and green.
Oh, this one here, is it?
See, all these charges, you see, like example, a delivery order charges, all right, they are charging now. It should be reduced, but they keep on increasing. Today, they are doing delivery orders, all right? E-delivery order means now you just press a button. Last time, when they charge, they give you a physical delivery order, you go to a port, and you show it to the terminal only will release the container to you. But today, you pay your charges, the delivery order is by to the terminus.
Okay.
There's no extra
cost. It automatically indicates to the terminal that the container can be released.
Yeah.
So there is no point of issuance of a paper document, right?
Yeah, and then it's more efficient, less fraud, and faster.
More environment friendly.
But actually, it's even worse. They take time. They take 4 or 5 hours just to process that. You give your document to them. They will put it there, check this and that and everything. You pay upfront, before the release.
Oh, okay. So the value proposition, that was the next question I was going to ask you. Maybe because they have increased their charges, probably because the value proposition that they are offering to the stakeholders, the service users, is higher now?
No, it's actually a part of a requirement. Example, you buy an air ticket, right? You go to the check-in terminal, all right? You give your ticket, you give your e-ticket to them. They issue you a boarding pass. Do they charge you for the boarding pass?
No.
Right? You know, it's very simple logic, you know. Right.
Okay, so
Example, you
that's
talk
a
about
very good analogy. Exactly. We generally print out our own boarding pass, so now it's everything is digital, right?
yeah. Example, maintenance fees of the container. Example, you take a taxi or a Grab, you know, a Grab
Yeah.
car. You go into the car, I say, they will tell you, okay, you are now sitting in my car, now you pay 3 ringgit for the cleaning charges. Do
No,
they do that?
the thing is, isn't this under Bank Nagara? I mean, doesn't the central bank play a role here? If I need to understand certain things,
Oh, that part is, we are talking pertaining to the deposit, you know.
yeah.
But the deposit check issue, only Selangor were able to do it because our association guarantee the shipping line for
Oh,
non-payment of detention and demurrage. But actually, they shouldn't collect deposit check. They don't have license to collect it, you know. Under the Bank Negara rule, you know, they cannot collect.
and so
Collect
okay, so in
deposit.
Selangor there has been an update where in
Yes,
Selangor, if you're a SAFLA member, you
yes,
do not need to have you do not need to do these container deposits
yes,
anymore.
yes. We create a
So
scheme for our members, you see, so that they don't have
okay,
to pay to them. But the association guarantee them. It's really crazy. It look like, you know, our Malaysian don't have a maritime court, you know. Actually,
yeah.
we have all the court, you know, from small claim court all the way up to if there's no payment, there's non-payment. If you look at the, the term and condition in a BL, you know, there's no such thing as giving you a deposit for your container. You know, the
Right.
turnaround time of container in Malaysia, right, everywhere is less than 48 hours.
And then you have this depot gate charge as well, which I think will be something that will also be touched by Datuk Nazari as
Yeah,
well,
I
because
want
I
him to touch on
understand.
this one, see,
Yeah, so I
because
understand. Yeah, because the haulage division have their own set of challenges that they're facing in terms of rising costs and low volume of movements, right?
yeah,
So can I take it that you will your recommendation again? Can we summarize that recommendation that you made, Mr. Elvin?
yes, I feel that the government should set up a national authority,
Mhm.
right, which will govern, you know, all the shipping lines on all the charges that they are paying. We are talking about local charges. In the end, is the riot is going to pay all the charges because it's all incorporated into the goods that we import, you see. Right. So a national authority will be very good for the country. Thank
Having
you.
a national authority that generally, yeah. So there will be cohesiveness. Charges will be, centralized in terms of decision making on them.
Yeah, any
That's a
charges they want to increase, they just have to justify to the
yeah.
authority together with the
And
stakeholders.
consult with the stakeholders. So at least there is one body for stakeholders to talk to in terms of such issues. That's
Yeah.
a
Thank you.
very interesting recommendation. Thank you very much, Mr. Elvin.
Thank you.
Now, if you don't mind, Mr. Elvin, I am going to introduce our next speaker.
Yeah.
And like you call him, the man who pays our money, right? The money man. I mean, he represents the community of all our importers and exporters in the country. I would like to introduce you to Yang Bahagia, Dato Dr. Andy Seo. Dato Dr. Andy Seo is the chairman of the Malaysian National Shippers Council. He's also the vice president of the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. That's a huge number of members right there. And he's also the chairman of the logistics committee for FMM. He's got a list of to his name in a sense that I would be taking too much of all of your time just reading out all his achievements. So without much ado, please allow me to pass the mic now to Yang Bahagia Dato Dr. Andy. Sir, can you turn on your camera and your mic, sir?
Is my camera turned on? I think my mic is now on.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Reshma, our
Morning, sir.
moderator.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us
Thank you
today.
for joining, for inviting us to join this webinar session. I think it is also very timely. This is the second one that we have together under this MCO period. I would like to also say good morning to the participants and my fellow panelists. I The MNSC, as you know, right, consists of members from the freight forwarding, like Alvin, he's our vice president, and also the hauliers, and also various industry group like FMM, Chinese Chamber, even the palm oil industry and all that statement. At the end of the day, it is the shippers that pays for all the charges. But I would like to thank our partners in MNSCs, our members, for highlighting sometimes to us the charges that are going to be raised by the shipping line. The shipping line is the one that we have no control over their charges. For example, the charges that now currently faced by the manufacturers, the new one will be the high detention and demurrage charge that I've presented on the slides. Maybe you would like to show while now, as you know, during this MCO period, we have no control. The shippers have no control, not able to remove the cargo from the ports and from the containers. Thus, the shipping line has to impose high detention and demurrage charges, and are definitely not willing. Despite what we have wrote and all that in our press statement lately, not even responding to our call for charges to be waived or even offer a discount. Not comparing to the port. Port Klang has been proactive, and whatever demurrage charges they have allowed companies to come forward and discuss how to waive the charges and also discount. So the shipping line are the one that are imposing this high detention and demurrage charges, and this vary from liner to liner, and with their different tier pricing. So some of them charge as much as 150 to 350 ringgit per day per container. So we think that shipping lines are not willing to cooperate, and some of our members are feeling the threat for incoming cargoes that they do not clear because they do not pay the D&D charges or they do not agree. So these D&D charges will then add to the cost of our incoming cargo, and of course, like I mentioned in the slide, the cycle will continue. We will have an endless loop. Now, the special exemption window by the MOT for the port clearance, where there were 4 port clearance dates period given, were not sufficient for shippers to clear their cargo due to the following reason that I bulleted it in there. One is called high cargo volume, between 30 to 40 containers within 2 days window period to clear.
So can I just ask you, are you referring to the non-essential goods, right? Or these are both the essential and non-essential?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, essential and non-essential. So many manufacturers during the MCO period, especially the non-essential ones, are not allowed to operate. So they were not allowed to move their goods to their factory. So then they have no choice, but that has caused their demurrage charges to increase. So this is not their own doing, but the shipping line should be a bit more sympathetic, as what Alvin says, that this is something beyond the control of the importers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we feel that now that most industry are back, a lot of them are still fighting and disputing on the demurrage charges. I have some companies coming to FMM showing us the charges are huge. I believe the charges may be some of the companies that have got a lot of containers stuck at this moment are not allowed to clear because of the high charges that they are still disputing. Now, there also is lack of coordination among the enforcement agencies and the authority as well. So we feel that this demand to clear the cargo within that short period during the port release period were not enough. But anyway, our next slide, if you look at, are also other causes of cost of increase, which this has been a nagging issue, whether MCO and no MCO period. We have the increase in logistic costs, as mentioned there, 10 to 20%. Manufacturers are paying for premium prices for air and sea freight. Currently, they are paying for charges to bring material of components from overseas into the country. As not many commercial flights are available, so there are also limited shipping lines doing that. The other increase is the depot gate charges that Alvin has brought up. These depot gate charges used to be imposed at 5 ringgit per container in the year when it was first collected in the year 2009. And this has increased from 25 to 38 per container, be it whether in Penang, Port Klang, or Johor Bahru during this MCO period. So
Dato,
that,
can I interrupt you for a bit to ask you, what does a depot gate charge mean? I mean, what does this actually mean, to go and pick up your container, is it?
yes, you're right.
So it's like a toll you're paying just to go and pick up your container.
Yeah. It's like when you rent a car, you're asked to pick up the car from the car rental company in the parking lot, and the car rental company says you pick up the car, you pay the parking that the car has been in there, right? It doesn't make sense, yeah,
It doesn't make sense at all, because that's not how it works when we pick up
Yeah,
cars, right? Oh, so
yeah.
okay, all right. Okay, so we have a
So
perspective. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so sometimes when we pick up the container, the container might not be in a good condition for us to pick up,
Mhm.
also, right? So the depot gate should do a bit more. If they are going to charge, they should provide good infrastructure and maintain so that hauliers do not have to go and pick up a few times.
Yeah,
But
and it
we
is
feel that
part of an international guideline as well, a safety guideline, isn't it?
exactly. So we don't want a damaged container to be picked up and then we blame that we are the one that damaged the container and all that. So it is their job to certify that the container are also fit for us to pick up.
Yes.
The other very important issue is that the shipping lines, especially those from the east, are treating Malaysia as a third world country that we do not return their container. So this is something that they impose on imported container. Before we collect, you must have a letter of indemnity, and the shipping line require this additional letter, whether it is provided from the importer and or the forwarding agent. Now,
So
contrary,
let me
yeah,
understand this. So every time a Malaysian importer imports a consignment in a full container load, has to actually issue an LOI to the shipping lines, because what are they afraid that we are going to use them as houses or something? Is that
that
what's
is what
happening?
they feel. They feel that we have not returned their container, or the container has been used for other
Other
purposes.
purposes. Oh
Yes,
wow!
but
In a developed or almost developed country like ours, this is a crazy method of running the whole business.
yes, but a solution has been provided for this non-deposit, non-check deposit
Mhm.
by our Selangor freight forwarders, and also two company. One is the iCargo, the other one is the container ledger account. This was done with the mediation from Port Klang Authority.
Okay.
But certainly this is not only for Port Klang, it's for all the ports in Malaysia that are applicable. So letter of indemnity is one thing. The second thing is the container deposit. So
Mhm.
both, you collect the deposit as well as you want a letter of indemnity. And this letter of indemnity is open-ended. Nobody can just give an open-ended
Mm.
check. So this is not right. This is something that MNSC will continue to fight on this, that this should be dropped, because this is discriminating the shippers of Malaysia. You don't impose that to Singapore, you don't impose that maybe to Thailand and others. Why Malaysia? And why some other third world country are not even imposed on such a condition on letter of indemnity and also check deposit? So this is something that we need to continue to encourage our government. But we have been, MNSC have been to a Ministry of Transport. We have lodged this complaint. We have been to MYCC to lodge this complaint. We have told KPD and KK, Ministry of Domestic Trade, about this. And we also have told Bank Negara that are they licensed to collect deposit? Because this deposit, like what Mr. Elvin mentioned, the money may not be collected may be collected and may not be in the country. What happens if the shipping line were to go down? That can affect the multi-billion ringgit that they have been collecting based on the containers that are in Malaysia imported, that we are importing anyway. So the other one is, of course, the damage protection scheme that and the container maintenance services. So they charge because they are the one that do the report, and they can impose any charges they like. So these are the few charges that have been brought up. Of course, there are other smaller charges like low sulfur fuel, low sulfur fuel surcharge, which they have introduced. Yeah, effective since 1st of February, and that is at a fixed rate of 9 ringgit. You know, we feel that this rate, right, should not be a fixed rate and should apply to everyone that infringes the competition law. You know, and this, they are fixing it. So this is actually like a collusion that they all agree that they must implement during this time, and they all must charge around this type of rate. So this does not promote competition within the shipping line. We will prefer that the shipping line will give us one price to cover all the charges. And this is something that they should respect, look at the volume of trade that Malaysia has in this region. So I would like to maybe stop there.
Thank you very much, sir. I know you have your recommendations, which you're going to keep for a little later, right? So
Yes.
thank you very much. And all these items, of course, that you just, for us to understand a little bit, maybe for the audiences that are not from Malaysia, these cost elements that you mentioned, are these also being practiced in other countries, or are these peculiar only to Malaysia?
Some companies are in the power to negotiate, especially the big multinational who are operating in Malaysia. They have a global shipping charge that they can global shipping contracts that they can negotiate in their home country, for example, or in outside Malaysia, and they will discuss the charges separately so that they can balance the shipping costs and also their cost profitability in each country. Whereas a lot of Malaysian companies may not have, our headquarters, if we are operating, is Malaysia. Even if we are a big Malaysian large company, so we don't have that privilege of negotiating global supply shipping charges. So some companies, they are able to discuss and waive certain charges among, and certain charges may be charged in some country and may not be charged in some country. So these are issues that
so there's no standardization of these
charges.
There's
no standardization.
And from what I understand, at least from Elvin and from you, sir, is that these charges are very creative. They keep popping out in many various forms and formats, and that there is no real regulation in terms of what they should charge and what they should not charge. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
in Malaysia, they might have specialty for us, that they might have some added charges. Maybe this is added on by the local representative of the shipping line, maybe just to defray their expenses or to add a bit more profit to them, right? But if you look at the standard global shipping contracts from a big multinational company, you will see that the charges are quite standard, all right? They virtually cover whatever needs to be covered and no additional charges.
So the bias
this is
goes
what we
to
will,
volume. Bias
yeah, we
goes to
feel,
volume, and bias goes for global contracts, in other words. So it
Right.
doesn't really encourage. Sorry, Elvin,
I would
you
like
were
to
saying?
comment on the first item on the slide. You know, the high detention charges and demurrage charges during the CMO. I feel
MCO.
that the government should come up with a decree, you know, to exempt all storage charges from the terminals, all detention demurrage from all the shipping line. This is because, you know, it's not the doing of the shippers or the importers not to want to clear the containers. All right, it's MCO. You force all company, or you ask all the company to close. You know, this is an act, you know, of you can say act of God. All right, okay.
Yeah, it's like a force majeure, indeed. Exactly.
Unfair that now, you know, you allow them to charge you. You know, you see, if you understand, you know, to buy a container is only 4,000 ringgit, right? Now the charges is more than 20,000 ringgit per container. and it cost Malaysia at least $500 million, on storage, detention, and demurrage, which is very, very unfair to all the importers. Our importers are, in the end, our importers will pay the discharges if they have no choice.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is the consumer. Actually,
the
it is
people, it's
us.
the
It's
rakyat
you,
who's going to
me,
pay
all
all
of
this.
us who's going to pay. Yes, Elvin. Now, if you don't mind, Elvin, we will take up this discussion after I invite Datuk Nazari from the Association of Malaysian Hauliers. Now, they have their own set of issues and challenges too, where I will leave it to Datuk Nazari to introduce these issues to all of you. Just a background, Dato' Nazari is from Taipanco Group, and he is the president of the Association of Malaysian Hauliers. Dato' Nazari, if you don't mind putting your mic on, sir, I will start showing your slides.
Okay. Good morning, Rishma, and good morning to all panelists. Okay, I'm Nazari, Dato' Nazari from Association of Malaysian Hauliers. I will raise issues and challenges which we are facing after the COVID era. Rishma, if you can
Yeah,
show the
just a
slide.
second, sir. I'm putting on your slides, yeah? There you go, sir. Slides are on already.
Okay, next. Okay, since the COVID era, movement of container have reduced a lot. Okay, as per May 2020, the overall import and export volume drops by 27.8% compared to 2019. In June, there is a slight increase, but probably is due to exporter fulfilling the back order. The first weeks of July shows slow movement. So continuous sustainability upward trend is questionable. If the volume does not pick up as before the COVID era, most of us will face financial difficulty. If we, once the moratorium period is over, if we are taking a loan from finance company, we will have to start to pay our loans in September, or if we take from the bank, we have to start to pay by December. But at the same time, we are facing delay in receiving payment from our customer, as customer are extending the payment period. It's getting more than 90 days now. And at the same time, during this period, certain shippers, importer, exporter insist on price reduction. So this will further actually reduce the haulier profit margin, which is currently very, very thin. Next slide, please. So to help the industry, we actually requested the government to extend another 6 months for the moratorium. If the business doesn't come back to at least 85% of the previous volume, we are really in a difficult financial situation. Government, we wish the government can provide us some soft loan or some financial aid to help the industry. At the same time, we want the government to extend the sales tax for purchase of new prime mover. Previously, all the while we are having this tax exemption. When the government introduced the GST, there is no issue, as whatever we pay, we can contra back with the input and output tax. Then when government introduced the SST, initially they want to introduce the sales tax back, but we request for government to hold, and they give us a 1 year exemption, which will end by this August. At the same time, we wish that government will further reduce the BLR. See, the impact on the industry. If the haulage industry collapse, okay, the whole nation, the whole import and export business trade will be in very difficult situation because we are supporting 95% of the country import and export trade.
Exactly.
Okay.
You guys are the backbone.
Next thing is on the licensing. During the MCO, DPJ, Puspacoms were not operating. We have thousands of trailers that were unable to go for inspection. Thus, we don't go for inspection, we are unable to renew the road tax. Sending our equipment, example, our trailer for Puspacom inspection is not just submitting a document for approval. We actually, the trailer, we have to bring back to our workshop. We have to do some minor repair. We have to change some of the tires, and some of it we have to do painting. This will take time. So for the 2 months when the DPJ Puspacom closed down, we have thousands of this expired road tax and trailers for the trailers. So if your government will give us 1 month, definitely we unable.
So you mean to say they have given you 1 month to quickly
I
update
think
all the
after now they have extend to end of August.
Okay, so they have
So
extended the period.
Extended, yeah, they have extended. Yeah, end of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least, yeah, that is. I guess you have been working on
We
it. Dato'?
we request for 3 months, but government only approve for 2 months. At least something for us to work on it.
Yeah.
At the same time, GPJ apart should consider to introduce online digital transaction. It is if we see the queue at JPJ counter in Padang Jawa, it's a very long queue.
Yeah.
So we hope this government will come up in an effort
and
to introduce
digitalize
this
that
online.
portion of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Next, please. Overcapacity in the market. This has been happening for quite some time. We have been highlighting the issue to government in many forums. Currently at Port Klang alone, there are more than 300 registered hauliers. To be exact, it's about 340. As the cake is getting smaller, price undercutting is rampant. This result in lower profit, less profit margin, and overall bigger losses to the overall industry. For the record, more than 20% of the haulage license registered with the port had either ceased operating or failed to operate. So we don't understand why government continue to issue license.
So these are dormant, you mean? The licenses
Dormant,
that have
yeah.
been in these
They are
companies
there,
are
but they are not operating anymore.
Oh.
If you see the market share, the output is zero.
That's strange, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
If this situation is not monitored, more and more haulier will cease operation soon under the current situation.
Yeah. The economic problems.
Next, please. So we have forward this recommendation to the government for many years. Okay? At the moment, to help the existing players, government need to freeze application of new permit until.
Wouldn't that look like protectionism, though? I mean, the government might be
If
criticized
you
for
continue
something
to
like
issue
that.
more license, more players become in, the cake is not expanding.
Yeah, true
In the
enough,
end,
but then that's like it becomes a open market situation in a sense that that may be a bit of an issue though, Dato, getting them to freeze the license. But I understand where you're coming from because yes, there's only so much that there is as it is because even imports have dropped and exports have dropped significantly in the country as it is, right? So revenue has also very badly been affected as far as haulage companies are concerned. Am I right to say that?
Yes. So there is two main issue here. That is quantity versus quality.
Yes.
You can have so many players, but does not produce quality services. Or we let the existing players survive first, improve our services. As the economic pick up, then can consider. But the government need to study the current situation, the supply and demand situation first, before deciding to release on the new permit. Okay, the anti-depot.
Yeah, because you are supposed to give us this depot story. So we understand the depot analogy that Dato Young Bahagia gave us, YB gave us, the analogy clear. It's like a rent. You're paying parking for the containers. So
Okay.
what is it that you face? What do the hauliers
The,
face?
the depot issue, I've been involved with the authority for the last 20 years, but there have not been so much improvement on this matter. Okay. To drop off one container or pick up one empty container sometimes take 2 to 3 hours. I can make, during that time, I can make one delivery to Shah Alam and come back. But I have to wait another 2 or 3 more hours to pick up or drop off the container. This is really wasting our capacity.
Yeah,
Really
time. Yeah.
wasting our resources. At the same time, this the
Sorry.
previous. Okay. At the same time, we actually have to pay depot gate charges. When the depot gate charges was first implemented, it was promised that the depot will improve their service. But this doesn't happen. But the DGC charges continue
To
to
increase.
increase from $5 to now 38 ringgit. Okay, I think this, sorry, this point, okay, it's actually not 90 days, it's actually 30 days. So we are given a credit term by the depot, most of us. Okay, but we have to pay back the depot within 2 weeks to maximum is 30 days, not 90 days.
Oh, you
That's
mean
an
the
error.
credit that is given
The
to you?
credit, okay. Some of these haulier actually have to pay cash. Okay? I
The
remember
smaller guys, I suppose,
guy.
right?
I
Yeah,
remember
they're
before
getting
the depot
squeezed.
give us before they give us the credit term, every day I have to withdraw something like 10,000 to pay for that.
So depots aren't regulated by any government agency. Are they any? Is it what the town council or who actually
We
regulates?
don't
The
know
ones in the
who
port is
actually,
fine. You have the port authority, but the ones that are outside of the port
even
vicinity.
yesterday we have the YB minister visiting LPK. The nothing was mentioned about the service level of the depot, although we have made numerous complaints to LPK.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So can I move
So
to your
okay,
recommendation?
just one more. This depot operating hour, some depot work up to 4 a.m., some 12 a.m., some even work office hour only. And then Sunday and public holiday, some close, some work up to 4 o'clock. Sometimes we want to return the empty container, we are unable to return because the depot is not working. But meanwhile, shipping line continue to charge the detention, which we actually have to absorb. Okay, so next slide, please. So, few years ago, the Parliament already approved Act to regulate for APAT to regulate the depot. But I don't know, until now, nothing happened yet. So we hope the government will speed up to regulate the depot. At the same time, okay, high detention charges. When the MCO was lifted, then there was a sudden movement, sudden surge of movement, container out from the port. This container, when we deliver the legend, later on we have to collect the empty. We are given certain period of time. It's usually about 48 hours to collect this empty. If we fail to collect, the shipping line will impose the detention charges, which sometimes haulier need to absorb. Okay.
Okay,
I've
all right.
seen.
Because of course, because I just wanted to ask you,
Mm,
can a haulage company A pick up an empty trailer for haulage company B? Is that allowed, or it has to be the same licensed company that picks up their own trailers?
trailer, we cannot, even
You
if
cannot
you own,
no
no,
collaborative or plans in there.
no. Even if you own two different haulier company, you
Mhm.
cannot integrate the operation. They have
So that's
to,
not very
don't really,
optimizing in terms, right? And it wouldn't even help our carbon emission levels. So that's
mm,
why you will have this issue, because you will have a capacity problem, right? During
yeah,
the
when
backlog period, when that short window where you had to move all these units out, and maybe the importer would have told you to pick up the empty unit, but because of capacity at that period, you must have
because
faced,
of
yeah.
sudden surge after the MC, when the MC,
Exactly, I can imagine that. So then
I've
again,
seen,
it's back to the shipping line. Seems like we're coming back
no,
to, it's the depots and
their
it's the
depot is
shipping
not
lines.
operated. We can't return the empty, but they still charge the detention charges.
And who appoints them? Maybe we'll open it later for everyone to speak, because there are a bunch of questions lining up as well. So can I put
I
your
have
recommendation?
recommendation is that the mana. See, the government really need most probably enforce the Anti-Profiteering Act. You see, I've seen detention charges recently for one day, $700 for a reefer container. We only bill the customer for delivery $500, and we have to pay 700 to the shipping line.
Okay. All right. We're getting a clear picture here on what's actually happening. And we're listening to all three of our stakeholders, representatives of our stakeholders. And they have told us, from the Freight Forwarding Association to the shippers, the people that fuel our economy, that are buying and importing and exporting, right down to our hauliers, who pretty much our backbone. Okay, with these guys are the only people that ensure that the connection takes place from the airports or the ports to areas closest to us. So now I would like to actually move this whole discussion now into a real discussion, in a sense that we're going to pick up some questions from the floor, from the attendees, and these questions, first, actually, I have a couple of questions that were sent earlier on in an email. And these questions are to both of you, to Dato Nazari and also to Mr. Elvin. And these questions are from Mr. Krishnan. Okay, the first one is, what is the plan and vision to enable container haulage operations to be converted to delivery by appointment? I'm trying to understand this question. What plan and vision to enable container haulage operations can be converted to delivery by appointment? I think maybe this question is a bit difficult to understand that.
Actually, he's talking about online bookings for.
Okay, all right, yeah. I didn't really understand how that question was, yeah.
Actually, okay, this one is actually on the pipeline, all right? The government should seriously look into a trade net, or national port online system, so that everybody can share it. But I think so it should be a PPP, private initiative, to come
Oh,
up
so
with.
this is more on the technology part, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So let's take a question that's relevant to what's happening now, okay? Because I think this question is more for the logistics tech talk that we had the last time.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's take a question from Inche Muhammad Noor Azam Abdul Jalil, where he has asked, does agency or husbandry agent is regulated for them to operate, for any shipping line to operate in Malaysia?
No.
Okay, do agencies or husbandry agents, are they regulated or not for them to be able to, is that a regulated agency? I think this is what this person is trying to ask us.
I don't think so, because you can just appoint any shipping agents, any company who have a shipping license to operate, right? So there's no regulation. Malaysian logistics have already been
No, you mean these husbandry agents all aren't they supposed to be registered with the port authorities?
No, the shipping agent, yes, not the owners.
Oh, okay, all right, just the local agencies, right?
Yeah.
All right. Another question is, with all this basis charges, can they be charged as money laundering and profiteering?
Okay.
That means the charges that, because we know, and I'm gonna allow each of you to answer this question, because the fact that the carriers are having a field day in terms of charging anything they want, from what we see, and then we're seeing that it's not just the shippers or the importers that are faced with this, but also the agents, the logistics agents, the haulage companies, also, because during that period of non-restricted movements, everybody has had to suffer with the consequences of that. However, it seems to feel like the shipping lines are suffering very little bit. So what is actually happening? Are they profiting too much? Is that what's happening? Or like one of the questions that came out in the panel saying that, is this some method of money laundering? I don't think so, but how do we actually address this? Maybe I'll start with you, Elvin, and then move on to Dato' Andy for this.
Actually, this is actually pure profiteering only, that's all. But our domestic ministry, all right, under the Anti-Profiteering Act, logistic is not in there. So they cannot act on charges charged by shipping lines or logistic company. All right. So actually, we should amend the act to include logistic charges to be in the Anti-Profiteering Act, so that the authority or can handle this issue. But again, I say, we should set up a port authority.
Yeah, that was my thing. What is your recommendation, Mr. Elvin? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, we should set up a national port authority, govern all and regulate all charges, all the land side charges, right, for Malaysia. That's very, very important now, with the escalating of the cost.
Okay, what about YB, Dr. Andy? Can you give us your way forward? So do you want me to share that portion of your slides that you had prepared on this?
Yes, please show them. I'm not going to read them, but what I want to propose is that moving forward, all these charges needs to be reasonable and controlled. I know that everybody likes to make some money. So our justification to move forward is that, first of all, we'd like the government to look into establishing the Malaysian Maritime Commission, which we call it MARCOM, because existing laws and legislation in Malaysia, such as the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1950, the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952, and the Bills of Lading Act 1855, all these are archaic, as you can see, as well as existing regulators for maritime transportation, such as the Marine Department of Malaysia, do not have provisions or oversight to safeguard shippers against these landside charges, logistic charges that were mentioned just now. Therefore, we in MNSA firmly believe that now and more than ever is the time for the government to intervene, set up a Malaysia Maritime Commission, or to that effect, MARCOM, which is an independent enforcement agency to regulate service providers' arbitrary charges and unfair practices in the maritime transport sector. MARCOM should actually be an important step to ensuring the ability of shippers to cope and survive through this trying time, this period that we are facing. And we know that our ministers have tried his best. Our ministry yesterday on July the 9th, they have come up with some incentive, but that is very much on their initiative of our local ports. But the shipping line are the biggest area, culprit. So this will be detrimental to our overall impact of Malaysia in terms of our cost of doing business. So as a business continuity plan, we would like the minister. So having this commission, we can look into all those charges. All right. One of the charges is the marking up of the terminal handling charges, which the pass-through cost. Definitely the hauliers, if they are going to be delayed, they are going to pass the cost. And who is going to pay? The shippers are going to pay. All right. Same with the agent. If they have to do more procedure, have to incur more time and cost, this cost will pass through to us. So I would say that let's try to manage our cost of doing business together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So your recommendation is the establishment of MARCOM, right?
Yes.
Where it would be an independent body that would be sort of like managing whatever cost, one single body that would be managing and the point of contact in terms of any increase in charges and what practices of such increase in charges. I would like now to invite Dato' Haji Captain to join in. Dato Haji Captain, as you know, Faiz has given you an insight. Now, he's been in the port authorities. He's still an advisor for the Ministry of Transport. So he's going to give us his point of view. Sir, can I pass the mic to you?
Thank you, Reshma. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear
All
you
right.
clear.
Yeah, we have heard the grouses from both Alvin and Dato Andy and also Dato Nazri, and they have given us a good insight of their issues. Well, they are all real issues that are being faced by all the three parties concerned. And the recommendation to set up a National Port Authority or a Maritime Commission, which is in short form called MARCOM, is a welcome idea. Whatever the name is, I do believe that there was a good action taken some 10 to 15 years back by Ministry of Transport to set up the National Port Authority and to expand the ambit of the national port authorities into various areas that can accommodate the grouses of the players in the industry, just like the three of the panelists are facing at the moment. So if at all the ministry can look into it back again, consider the setting up as soon as possible, because the groundwork has already been started before. And I believe to pick it up and then to refine the terms and conditions of the said authority and the how strong the authority can be into delving into many of the issues. So these are the things that should be put into the act and be an effective authority or commission to assist the players in the industry under one umbrella, rather than going, like Dr. Andy has stated, he has to go to various ministries, various authorities again and again to explain things. Then when a new government takes over, again he has to go. So it's like a never-ending, I would say, actions by him and also his partners. And I would welcome the idea of setting up a national port authority to handle issues of this nature. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So I understand even you recommend that the establishment of the National Port Authority should be something that we should be moving towards, since, as you mentioned, the work has already started. So it's not like there's any reinvention of any new wheel, right, sir? Am I clear to understand that?
True. And also to refine the terms and conditions in order to meet circumstances like we are facing at the moment, especially a pandemic like this, which a lot of people say is force majeure, but then people like insurance company will say, no, it's not force majeure, it's something else. So these are the things that we need to tackle.
Yeah, exactly. The mediation part, because I think a lot of this is now going to come down to mediation in terms of how are people going to treat all these extra charges that have been incurred. Because like you said, force majeure is not recognized in in the English law. So it's frustrations of contracts and how these arbitrations are going to take place. How can our stakeholders actually get help from our own government, so to speak? So the establishment of such a national port authority would really help the health of the country economically, because remember, logistics is the main nerve, I would like to say, for an economy. If you by any chance affect any portion of the logistics chain, you really are actually affecting the economic structure and well-being of the nation, of the country per se.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we do have a couple more questions, but it looks like we've hit 60 minutes. So maybe for us to stick to that 60 minutes, maybe we're just a couple of minutes away. And Dato Haji Captain's background, we heard the bells chiming generally to tell us, the alarm bells were chiming to let us know that we have actually come to the end of this session. But we want you to know that it's not just us coming here, sitting and talking about these issues and giving a bunch of recommendation from the stakeholders. Now, what we understand that both Elvin and Dr. Andy are both involved in the National Task Force, the Logistics Task Force. And we also understand that under MOT Land and Logistics Division, They have tasked Mr. Elvin to actually present the challenges and the recommendations from the stakeholders involved in the maritime logistics sector. So we will definitely be having a second part to this discussion. And hopefully in the second part of this discussion, we will be also able to engage somebody from the Land and Logistics Division of the Ministry of Transport, Malaysia. So we have a better insight on this. Okay, without much ado, and I do not want to take anyone's time. Today is Friday. I understand many of us have to go. It's Friday prayers. I would like to thank everyone. But before I close the session, I would like to invite our president. Where is our president? There you go, Tuan Haji Ramli. I would like to invite our president to give you a closing remark, and after which we will be ending the session today. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Sir, mic is yours.
Yes, thank you, Reshma. CILT is once again very proud to be associated with highlighting of logistics issues. And all have been said and elaborated by our esteemed speakers. And I think the only thing remaining now is perhaps notwithstanding that each stakeholders association has made their own recommendations, their own press releases, perhaps maybe it is timely that we should have a combined media release to echo not only from one stakeholder, but to everyone, to every other stakeholders that is involved in this. In this problem. Yeah, and also I would echo what Datuk Haji Captain Rahim said about the setting up of National Port Association and also Marcom, so that I think taking stock of what has happened, I think that should be the way forward. With that, thank you, panelists. Thank you, participants. Thank you all for the wonderful morning session. One Reshma to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And to leave all of you with a goodbye from everyone on the panel, I'm going to now allow everyone on the panel to please put your mics on and say your parting words, so to speak. Thank you from me.
Thank you very much, CLT, and also our panelists, right? And the only thing, the main request that we have is the MOT and the relevant agency is to act quickly and to regulate the shipping line to save and protect the country, importer and exporter. Thank you.
Thank you, Elvin.
Thank you. I will. Thank you very much to our fellow panelists as well for their comment. I would like to thank and agree that we can actually have a press statement immediately after this webinar. It will be more meaningful, and that MNSC would like to work with Dato' Haji Captain on this setting up, because you may know the insight of it. Guide us on that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to join this webinar. We support the idea by Dato' Haji Captain to set up a relevant agency to help the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, if we are all okay, Faiz, would you like to give us, Faiz is our next gen vice chairman. Faiz, would you like to give us a final note for today?
Thank you very much, Reshma, CILT, and everybody. I'm truly humbled to be part of this, all these luminaries on the floor here. What my take about the whole session today is, it's fair also to offer the shipping line to say something about this. Perhaps if we can reach out to them and have a next session, listening to what are their concerns, they'll be interesting, yeah?
Yes, that will be interesting indeed. We may have to consult with MNSC and FMFF and of course our CILT Malaysia to see when we'll have a session with the shipping agents representatives.
Because CILT is neutral, yeah. We
Yes.
like to listen to everybody, yeah.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Faiz, for your input. Dato Haji Captain, do you want to add anything before I close the session, sir?
Yeah, thank you. And we look forward to further deliberations with all the industry players and to come up to some kind of solution that will be satisfactory to all parties. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much, everybody. And have a great weekend. And yeah, I know it's a struggling, hard time we are having, but there's also a lot of opportunities that have popped up, right, during this COVID-19. So keep steadfast, be tenacious, keep your spirits high, and salam alaikum. Have a great day. Bye-bye.